Did the Village of Gowanda Police Department conduct an illegal search and seizure? David Yezik says they did, and he plans to sue, claiming his constitutional rights were violated.
The News 4 investigates team has obtained the search warrant application and the home surveillance footage of this incident. As News 4's Luke Moretti reports, one legal analyst calls this case appalling.
They were yelling at me, consent to search.
David Yezik recalls the day Gowanda police officers came to his house, searched, seized, and arrested him.
I said, consent to search? You already searched the house.
He claims he never gave the police permission to enter and says they didn't have a search warrant. And now Yezik plans to challenge the entry, search, and arrest by police officers in a court of law.
This lawsuit is for the infringement of his constitutional rights.
Attorney Anthony Rupp represents Yezik and has filed a notice of claim with the Village of Gowanda and the police department.
They're in his house unlawfully, without a warrant, without any probable cause.
The 60-year-old Yezik, a U.S. Army veteran, has security cameras inside and outside of his house. The police encounter from July 2018 was recorded. You can see officers walk to the back door.
They knocked for 5 minutes on the door. They told my client there's no indication that they made one little knock, which they really used to push the door open so they could then say the door was open so they could walk in.
At one point, you can see Yezik jump up from his chair in the dining room and run toward the back door where the police are making entry. This is his version of what happened then. So you're here.
Yeah, I'm telling him stop, okay. And then he just starts pushing me. He's pushing me, he's pushing me. Right. And then he turned me around.
The notice of claim accuses Gowanda police of making false statements to obtain a search warrant after they had already entered his home without his consent.
This was so unbelievably brazen, the way they forced entry into his house, the way they searched without a warrant, the way they lied about it in documentation to the town of Persia judge, who then issued the warrant under false pretenses.
The police claim in the search warrant application that they received a call reporting an odor of marijuana coming from Yezik's residence, and that after exiting the vehicle, they noticed a strong odor of marijuana. They entered an enclosed back porch after knocking several times, which they say opened the door with each knock. But Yezik's attorney says the security footage paints a different picture.
Pretended to smell odors of marijuana, pretended to walk past the front door, walk past the side door, pretended to knock, push the door open, and basically made a warrantless entry into my client's house, and then phonied up a warrant application regarding that.
They claim the interior door was partially open from knocking. Police say they yelled, "Hello," and that a male voice said, "Come in." Yezik says he never said that, but remembers hearing a voice outside.
I knew it came from out back because I could just tell through the door if somebody called out Dave, but I didn't expect anyone to come, to my house at any time.
Additionally, one of the officers claimed in the warrant application that they knocked on the door leading from the back room to the kitchen, and that the door was partially open from knocking.
The door was ajar and they pushed it open when they knocked. They just knocked so long that it just kept opening and opening. Not true at all. I mean, they had to open the door outward.
Yezik showed us the door in question.
When you open this door, you can't open the door through you. You have to step back. And when you open this door, there's what you see. All right? And when they opened that door, I was right here. And I yelled at them to stop.
Another inconsistency that Yezik's attorney points out in the claim involves what officers said they saw, that a large amount of marijuana was observed on the dining room table.
The probable cause that they cited was that something was in plain view, which it wasn't. That was a lie too. But that was only after they had already broken into the house and been told by Mr. Yezik that they had to leave, that they had no warrant.
Yezik tells us the marijuana was inside a brown paper bag on a chair in the dining room, out of view from where the officers made entry. Okay, so you can't see through the bag?
No, you couldn't see through the bag. And even if you go over to the door there, the marijuana here, you can't even see.
We showed the video clips and law enforcement documentation to criminal defense attorney Mike Taheri, who has no connection to the case.
I think the cameras in this case clearly support the claimant's cause of action in this case. So this is a very serious intrusion that law enforcement made without a warrant. It resulted in his arrest. It resulted in him being detained. And frankly, it's an appalling case.
Yezek was charged with unlawfully growing cannabis, a misdemeanor, and criminal possession of marijuana, a felony. But 6 months later, the charges were dismissed because the pot never was analyzed at the lab. Yezek admits that he grew marijuana in his house, occasionally sold to friends, and smokes himself.
What I did is going to be legal, probably in almost every state before too long. What they did is never going to be legal. It's never going to be legal for police to violate their oath.
It looks like they are untruthful, certainly when they're getting that search warrant application, certainly as to how they gain access to that home. So, what do you have to do? Well, whether the attorney for the claimant is going to contact the FBI or the attorney generals and request an independent investigation, those are options he's certainly going to explore.
Now, News 4 reached out to the Village of Gowanda mayor and the police chief, who declined comment. We also contacted Cattaraugus County District Attorney Lori Riemann, who told us that her office did not pursue prosecution of the case because it seemed problematic. Riemann also told us her office had no idea of the surveillance footage. Luke Moretti, News 4.